it was almost like we were becoming me, the CNN reporter, and him, the Fox
Hmm.
opinion session. That was happening whether I realized it or not. More and more, when we were sitting having our beer, Grapes would be saying, you left wing pinkos, you're killing everything, and he was, and
Yeah.
I thought he was kind of having fun with it, but I think it was actually building within him a real resentment towards the new world order, if that's what it is. Um, I think this whole social advancement, this whole effort to make our world more inclusive, it was really starting to put up a wall between us, whether I understood that or not. In hindsight, that's how I feel, Joe. It was starting to take shape, and I think Don was kind of looking for a way to, okay, this is, we've had our time. Let's let's call it a day this way. And anyway, it was unfortunate that it put, again, both of us, it put him on the sidelines from what he loves to do, and it put me in the crosshairs of having been portrayed as a turncoat or someone who threw Don under the bus, and that was it'll always be a challenge to sort of survive that. But you have to, again, if you, and it's not that I love what I do, that I carry on, but I love the ethics of what happened, and I have a kind of an obligation not to just cower and run away from what that position was, and it was a company position, not mine per se, but I do swear by that position, and I grew up, again, child of the military, all over the world, learning what people in Yukon Territory think about life, learning what people in the Maritimes think about life, realizing the oneness of us all, and wanted no part of a divisive narrative. And so, I couldn't talk Don into apologizing, but I certainly wasn't going to run for cover when the going got tough either.
Right. You did apologize yourself, and that polarization, that thing's still happening, obviously, and continues. But no matter what side of the fence you are, when people talk about Ron MacLean threw Don Cherry under the bus, and I still hear that today, and I got some of that when I mentioned you're going to be on the show. Um, it's like I look at it like I believe I'm a man of principle and a man of conviction, and I believe if I have principles and convictions, and my principles and convictions are thus, I'm not going to compromise my principles and convictions to satisfy somebody else's idea. Like in my opinion, it was wrong to speak of immigrants the way he spoke of immigrants. It's wrong to me. In my opinion, being racist is wrong. Being prejudiced towards immigrants, people sound and look differently than I do. That's wrong. People have different sexual orientation than I do. I think that's, and I don't think it's right for me to criticize them or ridicule them or make fun of them or any of that stuff. And a lot of people are racist. A lot of people are sexist without even knowledge of that. Is what I found.
Right.
And maybe myself to a certain degree, I'm yeah, you know, victim of that to a certain degree. I mean, sometimes in a certain situation, I feel myself feeling a little awkward, and it's like it's something I want to be aware of so I can change. And so, if I'm a man of principle and I believe that racism is wrong and I believe that sexism is wrong, and let's face it, Don has displayed both on numerous occasions. And so, if you stand up for your principles and you follow and follow that commitment and that conviction, why are you then criticized for that? Like, why do you think you're criticized for that?
I think that there's a disconnect between reality and perception. Always has been. This, I've always loathed the notion you are what you're perceived to be. No, you're not. You are who you
Mhm.
are, and but we live our lives in large measure, looking for likes and dislikes on social media, as though we were what we are perceived to be. Advertising depends on it, but it just, you're so right. I mean, you have to have convictions. You have to have what is right or wrong at some point. And this was an issue that was clear cut. And unfortunately, Joe, you can't convince someone against their will. That's